Last week, there were some games that I said that we had some things to pay attention to. I want to know, what did we learn? New segment. What did we learn? We take a look at last week's games that I said we need to pay attention to, and let's roll through. So, Commanders-Raiders, first game. I said I wanted to see how Jayden Daniels bounced back after playing a horrible game against the Green Bay Packers. Well, he didn't play. He was out. He was injured. He got injured in that Packers game, and he ended up being sidelined. Marcus Mariota started in his stead. And Marcus Mariota looked good. Jeremy McNichols, is he going to be the RB1? Chris Rodriguez? Because Bill is not looking like the RB1 right now. But Washington dominated. Jaylin Lane may be an elite returner, both in kickoffs and punt returns. Debo, too. They both look great. Geno looked okay. Tre Tucker, oh my goodness. 3 touchdowns. Oh my God. Tre Tucker was phenomenal in this game. But the thing that we learned from this game is that Washington was able to correct some of their mistakes. And I know the Raiders are not the Packers, and that was something that probably made a huge difference. But Washington bounced back. They corrected some of their mistakes. And even without Jayden Daniels, they got it done, and they got it done in commanding fashion. No pun intended. Next game that I wanted to learn from, Texans Jags. I wanted to know. You wanted to know. Does C.J. Stroud have it? No, he does not. C.J. Stroud, I am disappointed. I had very high expectations, and I know the offensive line is terrible. I know. We know. We've seen it because the Jaguars proved it, as well as every other team that the Texans have played this season. But C.J. Stroud, he has a turnover problem. He's been turning it over too much. When it came down to it at the end of the game, C.J. Stroud had a chance to take the lead. He had a chance to drive the way Baker Mayfield drove the Buccaneers to win the game against the Jets, and he couldn't get it done. He threw a pick. And I know that the offensive line makes a huge, huge difference. But you've got to get Nico Collins involved, because Nico not getting involved until the very end when he scored that touchdown is not good enough. Nico Collins needs to be the guy that C.J. Stroud relies on going into a game, because he clearly can't rely on anything else. It's a serious, serious problem for Houston. Houston, you have a real problem. A real problem. And it's not just an offensive line problem. You got to fix your team, because the defense is phenomenal. The offense is struggling mightily, and you've got to fix that. And for the Jags, you can't act like this is all butterflies and rainbows. You have some problems too. Brian Thomas Jr., I have serious concerns for him. He is not getting the ball enough. He's also not trying hard enough, because there have been plays that he's made where it doesn't actually look like he's really going for the ball. Trevor Lawrence, I thought that this was his chance with Liam Cohen now to prove once again why he was a generational talent coming out of Clemson, even at Clemson and before then. But he has not proved that. The Jaguars have problems. So what have we learned? We learned that the Houston Texans have a serious problem that until it gets fixed, we can't say for certain that they are the favorites walking into any game to come out with a win. I cannot say with confidence that the Houston Texans are going to win next week until I see that they can prove to me that they can win. They are 0-3 on the year, despite being the favorites to win the AFC South and make it back to the playoffs. Again, meanwhile, just this past season, they made the playoffs and they destroyed the Chargers, and then they played the Kansas City Chiefs, and they looked okay, but the Chiefs ended up going on to play in the Super Bowl. The Texans are not far removed from that, yet they're 0-3 and struggling mightily, and they're not getting back there the way things are looking right now. They've got to turn things around. And for the Jaguars, what have we learned? We learned that they're unable to prove that Trevor Lawrence is the answer. Straight up. Trevor Lawrence, you got to prove that you're the answer. You were the number 1 pick about 5 seasons ago. You got to step it up. Next game that I want to find out, what did we learn? Cowboys, Bears. I wanted to know, can Ben Johnson get his first win in Chicago? Yes, he can, and he can do it pretty well. Ben Johnson, there it is. There it is, Ben Johnson. First win as a Chicago Bears head coach. Caleb Williams looked great. People were starting to doubt, but he had over 300 total yards and 4 touchdowns through the air. He had a phenomenal game against this Dallas Cowboys team who struggled. Their offensive struggles, you could probably say, had a huge impact because CeeDee Lamb had a bad ankle injury that took him out early in the game, that kept him out the entire game. But Jake Ferguson was the one to step up, not George Pickens. I thought George Pickens would be the guy who would step up in CeeDee Lamb's absence, but it was Jake Ferguson. He had 12 receptions. He had a sneakily very good game. And we learned that in his absence, that's who stepped up. So the thing that we learned for the Dallas Cowboys was that in CeeDee Lamb's absence, it was Jake Ferguson who stepped up. He stepped up big time for them, despite getting blown out. And for Chicago, what we learned is that Caleb Williams does have that it factor. Caleb Williams can get it done when it matters, that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. We learned that this is a duo that could be scary going forward throughout the rest of the season.